Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today's Monday, July 6, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. 3 stories out of Mississippi. An 18-year-old black teen goes out on a boat with a group of white friends on the 4th of July weekend. They all return home. He does not. His body has been found. We'll tell you about what's happening in the Nolan Wells case. Also, 7 black families in Mississippi are suing their local school district, saying their children were unconstitutionally strip searched. Also, more guilty pleas in a federal corruption case in Mississippi. The former mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, Chokwe Lumumba, as well as a city council member, have pled guilty to federal bribery charges. This is after last week where the district attorney also pled guilty to charges. In Louisiana, the Supreme Court pauses a legal case against the state attorney general in the ongoing battle sparked by the election of a black, formerly incarcerated court clerk in New Orleans. The Trump administration continues to block discrimination cases from moving forward as part of its war on black America. And a racist MAGA commentator questioned the contributions of black women in American history. All we have to teach his ass a lesson. Plus, racism continues for the Trump administration. They're now targeting the Smithsonian Institution. And of course, Peter Hegseth continues to attack black veterans. Plus, a white North Carolina pastor is getting applause and criticism for his sermon saying America is not a Christian nation. Wait till we show you. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
The family of a black teen in Mississippi, they want answers as to why their son is dead, and the group of white friends he went out with on the 4th of July weekend all returned home safely. A park ranger found the body of 18-year-old Nolan Wells on the coast of Horn Island on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi this morning. Nolan's mother, Christine Wansley, confirmed the finding of her son on Facebook, asking that everyone give her and her family time to grieve. Nolan was a recent graduate of Ocean Springs High School and a football player at Southwest Mississippi Community College. He was last seen with 3 of his friends on the island at around 3 p.m. local time on Saturday before he went missing. Authorities have not released details about what led to Nolan's disappearance. The circumstances surrounding his death remain under investigation. Now, what happened was his cell phone was found, but he was missing, and his friends could not articulate as to what happened. When did they last see him? And so, again, lots of questions are being raised here. The family sent out notices over the weekend. They were demanding for folks to assist them with finding their son. And again, no one could say what happened. And they kept asking the questions. Again, his friends, his white friends, they all came back. But Nolan actually died. He was his mother reported him missing late Saturday night, and the friends, of course, went out on a small boat for Independence Day, and he was again did not come home. And so again, the question now begs: what happened? What happened? Did this happen on the boat? Were they on land? What's going on? I want to bring in my panel right now. Dr. Omi Kongo, being a senior professorial lecturer, School of International Service, American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racist. He joins us from Washington, D.C. Thelma Anderson, creator of the Public Opinion Court, author, Shut Up and Prosecute, joining us from Dallas. Representative Yolanda Jones, Texas State Representative, lawyer out of Houston. Glad to have all three of you here. Lots of questions obviously are being raised here, Yolanda, what happened in this case. What's strange is he comes up missing. The other teams, okay, what information did they give? If you're going out, you kind of know what someone else is doing, unless they decide to just go off on their own. And that's why people are saying, what the hell? What the hell is going on? What took place here?
Well, of course, Roland. I mean, 4 kids left, 3 white, 1 black. The black kid didn't come back with them. They were on a boat to get there. So when they were coming back, they knew he wasn't there. Why would you leave? Why wouldn't you go figure out what happened? And, you know, it just doesn't smell right to me. But, you know, so many black parents try to put their kids in a better situation, or so they think, and they put them with white people. I mean, and I don't want to say, I hate to say it, because we hear this story over and over and over again, and they don't know what happened. Of course they know what happened. So the police need to be interrogating them to find out what's going on and what happened to Nolan. And I pray for his mom. I pray for his family. Who would expect that their son would go away with quote unquote friends and not come back? And when he's found, he's dead. So I suspect that the time that the kids have been back without him, they've been coming up with the same story. I suspect their parents have probably already contacted lawyers, and they're trying to CYA, you know what that means, cover their asses. But we hear this story over and over and over again, and black people think that integration was great. It wasn't. In 2026, we see that a black kid is not safe when he goes out with his white friends on an island. And I mean, I think black parents need to pay attention.
Again, we do not. Here's what. Again, this was a photo that was posted, and the family shared photos all over the weekend in terms of looking for him. So we don't know.
So I don't care.
No, 1 second.
We don't know.
1 second.
Okay.
1 second.
Okay.
Okay. We do not know what happened. We do know that at one point he was separated from his cell phone. They went to this island. They went to, Thelma, was a remote island that was only accessible by boat. And so again, over the weekend, I saw a number of social media posts on Saturday, on Sunday, folks calling for national media to pay attention to this story. Again, speculation is one thing, facts is another thing. And unfortunately for this family, they now have to bury their son after his body was found this morning.
Well, all I'll say is
one second, Yolanda, 1 second. Thelma, and I'm a Congo. Just hold on. Thelma, go ahead.
What we do know is that this friendship with these young boys have been going on for years. We do know for a fact that they have been on the water several times with Nolan, and he's happened to make it back every single time. But this time, what we do know is there's a timeline. The timeline starts around 3 p.m. when there was a allegation that they could not locate him. There was another timeline that said around 4 p.m. they were still trying to actively search for him. But there's another allegation that around 7 p.m., that's when it was notified to the parents after they made it back with his phone. So in the interim, if those allegations are true based on the timeline, what was going on in the interim of those 3 hours? What I can tell you is that they have lost valuable evidence at this point, because what we did see is those young men on that boat drinking underage, which is a crime in the state of Mississippi. What we do know based off of the timeline that now we cannot collect urine samples to see how intoxicated these young men were. We can't collect any statements from them at the time of this happened to actually get a factual, accurate account of what they recall based on where Nolan was and where they last saw him. So now it's going to be upon the parents to get independent everything. They need their own civil rights attorney. They need their own trial advocate. They need their own ME expert, an independent autopsy done, not with the state solely, because it's too many questions that need to be answered. They're going to need a forensic phone specialist in order to determine what was going on with them phones, who made contact, who was talked to after the fact, what was the last contact with Nolan based off of cell phone service. It's going to be a lot, but it's some valuable time that has been lost. But what we can say for a fact is that they've been out on that water before with Nolan, and he's made it back every single time.
So this is Omekongo. This is from Capital B. They reported Wells was last seen on July 4th on the island, where he was hanging out with a group of friends. The friends returned home, but no one has come forward with any information about what happened to him. Later in their story, they say there's been no official reports or additional information from those who were present about what happened. That right there raises a serious red flag on Mekongo in order to understand, because if you had a friend and you go out, this is very simple. Did he fall overboard? Did y'all search for the body? Did they arrive at the island? Did all of you get off and go on the island? Were y'all together? Did you go separate ways? Did he run into someone there he knew and then he left with them? All those are the kind of questions that those friends are going to have to answer to authorities.
And these are the types of questions they should have immediately told the parents if they were being honest and upfront about what was going on. And I know that, this case is immediately becoming racialized, for obvious reasons. This also makes me think, Roland, we covered it here, 2022 with Shanquella Robinson. I believe she was from North Carolina, who went to Mexico with her friends, and they were all black and, didn't come back. And then a video appeared of her being beaten and the like. And so we really have to, as been said here, we really have to pay attention to what Thelma was saying about all of the valuable time that was lost, because there's no way in hell I'm leaving with my friends to go somewhere and they all don't come back with me and I'm not saying anything. I'm not talking to parents. I'm not coming home without them. So just the fact that these so-called friends left this person in whatever way, shape, or form, that automatically brings suspicion. And from what we understand, given the fact that their parents have been putting out the word to help find their child, it doesn't seem like these other kids came back saying anything. And that's the other part that leads to suspicion. And all of us who got kids in this area, in this age, whether it's our own kids, nieces, nephews, whatever, kids in the community, cousins, it hurts at a deeper level. It hurts at a deeper level. And given everything that's going on in this country, of course, we're going to expect things, racially. But at the end of the day, parents lost their child under suspicious circumstances, and there are people who know the answers who are not talking right now, and that is unacceptable. And as more information comes out about this, the Black family, the Wells family, I'm also hoping that people are looking at ways to support them, to get them everything that Thelma talked about they may need, particularly as it relates to financial resources to get those things accomplished.
So this is from WLOX.com. The local TV station there. The United Cajun Navy is a rapid response team when it comes to cases like this. And this is a quote from Brian Trasher. He said, there were some people that thought he might have wandered off to the middle of the island, maybe into that lake. We'd sent people up there today, and if he was barefoot, there's no way he made it up there. There's cactuses and a lot of thorny brush. He would not have been comfortable being able to make it to the middle of the island. He probably would have turned around and went to the beach. And this was the story that they reported as it was going on. And the Sheriff's Department was asking for additional information as well. And again, as I sort of see this story, I do wonder, Jolanda, what type of investigation was happening immediately. Did authorities, did they see the story of these other individuals as being sketchy? Because if you look at that description, you're going to this remote island. To that point, if you're barefoot or whatever, you're not walking around the island. And then, so it's just, obviously, there are a lot more questions that people have. And Velma is right. As for this attorney, they absolutely need a very strong legal advocate right now, demanding those answers to ensure that there is a proper investigation conducted.
30 years, as a 30-year trial lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, Roland, let me be clear. One fact we know is that 4 kids went, 3 kids came back, right? So, yes, of course I want to know, what time did he go missing? What time did they call the police and let the police know that there was a problem? But at the end of the day, like Thelma said, yeah, we need to know those things. But I find it curious that those kids haven't said anything, or if they have, no one has said anything about it. And I would be super surprised if those kids' parents hadn't already lawyered up with them so that they can get their story straight. Nothing about this sounds right. I don't care if they've traveled a whole bunch of times and made it back. This time is really all that matters because Nolan is dead. So, and they are going to need financial resources. Medical, having your own independent autopsy done is important. Having forensic experts is it's important, and it's expensive. All of these things are expensive. Having a really good lawyer is really expensive. Having a team, because trust me, the state's going to have a team, and I suspect these 3 kids as parents will have lawyers to protect them. So nothing about this smells right. Nothing about it. If it were me, I would have never come back on that boat without my friend. I would have stayed there. I would have helped look for my friend. I would have called the police. That's what I would have done. So the appearance that they're friends, and there's a nice, pretty picture of the black kid with the 3 white kids. I think it looked like they were fishing. None of that matters because Nolan is dead.
Well, that photo was what was posted, and so that was the last known photo of them being out, and so that's one of the reasons why that photo was gone out. And so again, I really do hope that. In terms of when we talk about the legal ramifications, they absolutely need their own advocate. Now, the other issue is here, and I ought to ask Control, y'all need to verify for me. So one of the stories said that there are a number of GoFundMe campaigns that have been up that were not authorized by the family. So no, do not show that. I want to make sure that what we are showing has been authorized by the family. Okay, all right, got it. All right, so this GoFundMe account, Nolan Wells' mother posted on her Facebook page. This is the official GoFundMe that they have put up, and so this is and so again, when these things happen, folks just jump out, on their own. But this you see, in loving memory of Nolan Xavier Wells. This is the, 1 second, because I want to pull up, the family is seeking approximately, so do this here. So switch to my iPad. So the family is seeking, as you see right here, $12,000. They're going to need more than that. I can tell you that right now. So far, $2,513, 30 donations has been raised. So if you're interested, what you do is, so just so you know, this is what the page looks like. In loving memory of Nolan Xavier Wells. And so that's what you should be, that just so you know. And it's right here, Alea Dennis is, you see the information right here as well. So just so you know, you have the correct information in terms of if you want to support this family, and you see all the information right here. All right, folks, let me go to a quick break. We come back, more on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We'll talk about a case out of Mississippi where their families are demanding answers why their children were strip searched and looking for vapes, and also the popular former mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, young brother, the son of a former mayor, Chokwe Lumumba, pleads guilty to federal corruption charges. We'll explain all of that when we come back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T-Golf Classic. And you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
7 black families are suing the Attalles County School District in Mississippi, alleging school officials and officers unlawfully strip searched students during a vape search. According to the federal lawsuit filed June 15th, 7 black male students were accused of bringing vapes to McAdams High School on February 10th. One by one, the students were taken to the restroom in order to remove their clothing and submit to the searches. The suit claims the students did not consent and were threatened with suspension if they refused. The school found no vapes. The families say the school district violated the children's 4th and 14th Amendment rights, as well as the Mississippi Tort Claims Act, noting that the school had a vape detection wand available. They're suing for compensatory damages, attorney's fees, and a complete overhaul of the district's student search and the termination of the administration and the officers involved. The school district has declined to comment on the lawsuit because it is currently in the discovery phase. These things often happen, Thelma. And listen, even though they're students still have rights. I remember being in middle school, and I always had bloodshot eyes. We lived literally right next door to the ship channel, and so in Houston, and so the chemical plants and all this sort of stuff like that. And I remember Mrs. Hart, the English teacher, actually having the school officer check my pocket. Now, the problem is that was a Latino guy, and both of us both had curly hair, so he grabbed both of us and asked us to empty our pockets. Suffice to say, when I got home and told my dad what happened, he immediately called the principal, Mr. Broussard, and said, let me be clear, if that teacher does not apologize, you will be seeing me 24 hours from now in your office. She did personally apologize for that. But what this family is laying out, these were multiple students.
What I remember about being in school was the fact that they would call my parents any time that they needed to contact them to get permission to do what they needed to do. So the fact that schools are now leaning on violating due process, like, since when are you coming in to strip search without having reasonable suspicion or probable cause? Now, I know of occasions where individuals have been searched because they were dealing things that they should not have been dealing, and they had equivalently made sure that they had the information necessary to do so. But in this particular matter, why they didn't call the parents, that's my biggest question. If you're going to strip search not one but multiple children from different households, what is the legitimate reason? What did you need? What purpose serve? And I don't believe they're going to be able to identify a purpose, a need, an emergency that would trump them from being required to call their parents. And that is very concerning that they're going to start doing this. We already see what ICE is doing. But to do this on this level and think that you were not going to have repercussions and families were not going to buck back and take you to court, that to me is very telling that they wasn't afraid of what could happen legally, and they did it anyway.
So, Jelana, the question that people, obviously parents and should want to know is, if a school official or security or a police officer, if they demand that a student empty their pockets or be searched, does that student have the right to say, no, you cannot search my body, nor am I going to take my clothes off? Does that student have that right?
Yes, the Fourth Amendment doesn't stop at the school door. The Fourth Amendment protects you at school. Most schools have a student handbook and it tells you what the rules are, so I would encourage all parents to go look at that. But you have to give articulable facts to show that you have a right to search. The Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable search and seizure. And making these kids get bucket naked for whatever reason. I mean, if they had articulable facts that allowed them to get a search warrant, they could have done that. However, you don't get to do that to kids. At a minimum, they should have called the kids' parents so that the parents could be there, because you have a right. Let's say the kids did do it, although I don't believe they did. They didn't find any vapes. You have a right not to incriminate yourself. You have a right not to talk to the police. You have a right not to allow the police to search you. The Constitution guarantees that. So I'm troubled about this, and I think at the end of the day that the parents will win the lawsuit, because you don't have less rights just because you're less than 18.
Absolutely.
Congo?
Yeah, in all of my years, now teaching at the university level, but before the university, I taught K to 12 for a number of years. And in all, whether Massachusetts, Maryland, there can't be a state where something like this can just be allowed easily in terms of making these students strip search for something they ultimately didn't find. You're supposed to call the parents. Parents are supposed to be brought down. Those children are supposed to be held in the office until parents can be consulted and told whatever potential offenses there are. And again, there's other things that will come out as relates to this case, but it just reflects, Roland, an overall climate in this country of people feeling like they can do whatever they want to children, and to our children in particular as well. And I believe that this happens more often than not. I believe that more families that this is happening to just don't have various resources to be able to get their stories out there. But this is a story that should also, just like our first story is deeper, of course, but these types of stories should receive national attention. The types of things that they do in our schools, these school SROs, school resource officers, the way they manhandle our kids for just talking back, or quote unquote talking back, slamming them against desks, handcuffing them. This is in line with that. And the fact that they didn't find anything, why were these particular children, and again, these are children, why were they singled out? And so when we see what's happening here, I'm hoping that, Representative Yolanda is correct that the parents will be successful, because schools need to be put on blast that they cannot just treat our children like this, and just to threaten them with suspension if they don't strip and lose their dignity in front of these individuals. That's all you got. To me, that shows that you don't really have a strong case anyway, because if you had a real strong case, you'd be calling in law enforcement to arrest these kids for holding something that was illegal, but all they had was suspension, and they duped these kids into going for this, and that's not cool.
All right, folks, going to a quick break. We come back, we're going to talk about the popular former mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, today pleading guilty to federal corruption charges. Chokwe Lumumba, as well as a former city council member, both of them pled guilty in a widespread corruption case. We'll give you those details when we come back. Don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents today, and that supports all the different shows that we have on the network. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo's RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281. Folks, this episode is sponsored by Kalshi, the largest predicting market in the United States. Here's what makes Kalshi different. You are not playing against a house. Kalshi is peer-to-peer trading. You buy a yes or a no to contract on whether something will happen, and you're trading directly against other users. Think of it like buying or selling a stock. The line isn't set by some algorithm working against you. It moves based on where the money goes. Public opinion sets the price, such as when it comes to the World Cup. Right now, Argentina is trading at 86%, meaning a $100 trade pays out $116.42 with the correct prediction. And as that probability shifts, you can buy in or out of your position at any time to lock in a profit or cut a loss. Kalshi is CFTC approved, which is federally regulated, which is why it's available all across the country, including California and Texas. So to access it, you can download the Kalshi app and use code SOCCER10 to get $10 when you trade $10. You can also sign up at kalshi.com/R/SOCCER10, which auto applies as the code at checkout. KALSHI Kalshi. Trade what's next.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Melanie Campbell, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. And we are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered all day, every day, 24/7. Spread the word.
Supporters of former Jackson Mayor Mrs. Chokwe Lumumba, they were in tears today when he stood before a federal judge and pled guilty to conspiracy 1 week before a federal bribery trial was set to begin in that court. The change in plea came 1 week after former Hinds County DA Jody Owens pled guilty to conspiracy. Ex-City Councilman Aaron Banks is also scheduled to plead guilty as well. That's to a conspiracy charge. U.S. District Judge Dan Jordan told Lumumba that a conspiracy conviction could mean he may lose his right to vote, hold public office, or possess a firearm. Lumumba, Owens, and Banks were indicted in October 2024 after 2022 federal FBI undercover operation, which agents posed as real estate developers interested in the downtown Jackson Convention Center hotel project. The undercover agents offered bribes in exchange for help from city government officials and Owens to move the project forward. The three men were scheduled to stand trial on July 13th in federal court. Lumumba served as mayor of the capital city for 8 years before losing re-election in 2025. He also is the son of the former mayor, namesake as well, who died before he officially took office. Now, this is MississippiToday.org, and understand what took place here. They write here that in the indictment, prosecutors allege that Lumumba accepted $50,000 in campaign donations in exchange for assisting the developers in obtaining the city's blessings. The indictment alleges that while Lumumba was on a yacht off the coast of Florida, he discussed the payment Owens was going to give him on behalf of the developers. Then he placed a call asking a city employee to shorten the bid window for the hotel development. Lumumba described his action as ministerial at best, according to court documents, thus not in line with how federal law and the courts have defined an official action a public official must take as part of a quid pro quo. Now, two others also pled guilty. Former city council member Angelique Lee, Owens' cousin and associate, Sharik Marv Smith, they pled to acting as a go-between for the DA with both Lumumba and Banks. Now, and then this article says here, unlike his co-defendants, Banks did not agree to the government's best offer. The assistant U.S. attorney and prosecutor in the case, Dave Fulcher, told the judge Banks' previous offer would have required him to cooperate with the federal government. The difference is court-appointed lawyer Carlos Tanner described as only technical. But Banks made the decision to plead after Owens took the plea agreement last week. The courtroom was standing room only for Lumumba's plea. His head was bowed as Fulcher read out the facts, and he said the government would have proven at trial. U.S. District Judge Daniel P. Jordan III asked the former mayor if he agreed with the facts the prosecutor described. I accept the facts that he just said, Lumumba responded. The judge paused and reiterated his question. I agree, Lumumba said. This, of course, is a shocking development for so many people. We had Mayor Lumumba on this show many times on a variety of issues, whether it was a water project, whether it was there for the SWAC championship game. He was, again, one of a group of young black mayors who was trying to revive a city. And one of the things that he said, he wanted to make Jackson, Mississippi, one of the most radical cities in the country. So a lot of people had high hopes for his administration. And so in the end, what you find here is in Jackson, the DA, 2 aides, city council member, and now the former mayor, all pleading guilty. Now, his lawyers from the National Conference of Black Lawyers defended his legacy, and they made it clear that these type of things have often, federal government, they've used these type of stings to bring down black elected officials all across the country. That's something that we've seen, and not just African Americans. I remember, in fact, again, I'm a native of Houston. I remember historic Latino Ben Reyes was a longtime city council member, went to federal prison involving the exact same thing regarding a convention center hotel the city was building. And so we've seen these things take place. Omekongo, I want to go to you first. Certainly a sad development, and so many people in Jackson, and as this story here says, the folks were in tears after he actually pled guilty.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, I've watched him often on your show, and for many of us, across this country, he was a rising star. And so given how we were feeling, outside of Mississippi, I can only imagine how the people there who supported him and had his back this entire time were feeling, leaving in tears, packing the room, still supporting him in every way, shape, and form. And I know that there are some people who are thinking about everything going on with this Trump administration and all the corruption they get away with out in the open. But the fact of the matter is we get held to a different standard. And if you're doing things that are breaking the law, people are going to come for you, and they're going to put a higher level of scrutiny on us. And so it's really important that if we're in office, that we hold things up to the highest standards. And I just really feel for what's going to happen to, his family as it relates to this. But it's just really unfortunate to see somebody who was a rising star in politics, and people felt like he was, doing a lot to represent the city, go down in this particular fashion.
Thelma. You're on mute.
For me, this does not put a sting on what he has contributed to Jackson, Mississippi. And I would like to recall people's attention to they still haven't brought any kind of investigation or charges against Brett Favre, who has had allegations of bribery in a welfare fraud sting that still has not seen the day of light. We have a president that is a convicted felon. We have them committing fraud day in and day out. And of course, they're going to put the light on an African-American man who's rising in the ranks of the political world. And yes, we do have to put guardrails up when we are in these positions, because we are the number one target, instead of the ones that are close in proximity to their privilege that they're going to come after. Hence, they still have not done anything to Brett Favre, and it is clear on his face what we saw, what was being done in Mississippi. So pay attention to the lengths that they're going to go through to try to ruin his legacy. But for me, his legacy and what he contributed to Jackson, Mississippi is going to stand beyond the test of this unfortunate situation for him.
Yolanda?
So I'll say, as a Black elected official, we can't do that. Like and what we've done is going to wipe out. It's going to be wiped out based on these allegations. And I'll say this: I remember a guy who supported me for one race. When I ran for something else, he said, "Look," and the maximum you could contribute in that particular race was $5,000 per person. And they were like, "I'll give you $5,000 and I can get 5 more people to give you $5,000. So I can raise you $30,000. All you have to do is vote on X." I was like, hell to the no. I said, I blocked it. I said, and who are the other 5 people? Because I want to make sure I don't want to take any money from them. And then I blocked him. Because here's what's going to happen. The second you do anything illegal, they have you. They're always going to have it over your head that they can use that. And trust me, if people are doing bad with you, they're doing bad with other people. And if they get in trouble, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to hand you up on a silver platter. If I had money, I would bet that something happened that got the people who offered the bribe in the first place, and they handed up more important people. So yes, I feel terrible that he was up and coming and young, but what's done in the dark will most assuredly come to the light with Black folks. And I remember, Roland, what you said about Benny Reyes, but it wasn't just Benny. They went after Black people too, if you will recall, right? So they didn't go after any white people. They went after the Black people and the brown people. So for those of us who think once we make it to a certain level, once we make so much money, once we have a certain kind of job, that color doesn't matter. The first thing they see is we're Black. And the first thing they're going to do is try to knock us off of our high horse. So I'm sad for the people in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm sad that it took down all those elected officials, but that's a warning to those of us who are elected. Don't do that stuff so they come back and get us for that. Roland, I can't hear you.
Of corruption, Donald Trump did an interview with Joe Kernan of CNBC, and if you want to hear someone admit to a crime, listen to Donald Trump talking about his children benefiting from insider trading.
I feel badly in a way for my kids, because every time my kids do, if they invest in a stock or if they go and do a bill, anything they do, because the presidency is so powerful, so big, everything, if they buy a cupcake company, well, the energy to make the cupcakes is, you know, sort of like, how's my energy policy? So therefore you have a conflict. Almost anything they do, if they want to buy a truck, if they want to buy, you know, if they buy an energy efficient truck, they have inside information. It's pretty tough in that sense.
No, you're an idiot and you're a liar. What the real issue is the thievery of you and your children, such as your children getting equity in a defense company and that company getting a $600 million loan from the Defense Department, and Peter Navarro in your White House calling the Department of Defense saying, give them the loan. That is what we're talking about. And in fact, if y'all want to, again, understand, again, how corrupt Donald Trump is, had a news conference today where he basically said, you know what, I'm letting these crypto people off the hook from being investigated.
But he has no idea what crypto is. He had no idea. He didn't have a clue. But they were very violently against it. They were putting people in jail. What they were doing to the crypto was horrible. It's amazing it survived that onslaught. It was a weaponization of government. So when I went very much for it, and I must have gotten, I think I got 100% of the vote. But what happened is, I think it was 100 million people. That's a big industry, and that means some pretty good things. But what happened is Biden then, after he was getting killed, he was down so much, all of a sudden they became pro-crypto. And their head of the SEC was horrible, unlike Paul, who's really good. No, I mean, he's the best man for the job. Everybody wanted him. But he was horrible. What he was doing to the crypto, they were putting people in jail. Oh, you know that better than anybody. Good people, great, prestigious people. They were putting them in jail. And I said, you got to be kidding. And they were trying to destroy the industry. Okay, ready? So now I'm killing Biden. I'm winning by so much. And all of a sudden he becomes totally pro-crypto. They dropped all investigations of everybody. They allowed people to come out of jail. And every time I see a crypto guy where they dropped an investigation, I said, you're lucky I'm president, because they, you know, I don't know if you know, the Biden administration became totally pro-crypto that last couple of months, because they were getting killed. Because crypto has a tremendous audience.
Okay, y'all, that was a straight line there as well. No, they were being investigated because they were doing potentially illegal things. Donald Trump has pardoned more individuals who have been convicted of fraud, stealing from people, and he is allowing them not only to get the pardon, but also to keep their ill-gotten gains. Now, you remember when the right went after Hunter Biden, alleging that he was profiting from his dad being the vice president? Well, Hunter Biden decided to take to Twitter, and this is what he actually posted. He said, 250 years ago, we declared independence from a king who ran the colonies as a family business. In just 18 months, the Trumps have made King George look like an amateur. A $620 million Pentagon loan, the largest in program history, to a company Don Jr.'s firm bought into 3 months ago. An Air Force drone contract to a startup the Princelings took public through a golf course company they own a piece of. The Army's largest drone motor order ever to a company where Don Jr. sits on the board and holds millions in stock. A $24 million Pentagon robotics contract to the company that employs Eric as chief strategy advisor. A stake in the largest undeveloped tungsten deposit on Earth in Kazakhstan, backed by $1.6 billion in U.S. government support. Jared's fund seeded with $2 billion from the Saudi Crown Prince, now $6.2 billion, 99% of it foreign money from Gulf governments. Over $110 million in fees collected from the Saudis alone. He negotiates American foreign policy with the governments that pay him. $2.3 billion from crypto ventures their father regulates. More than 1 million people bought in and lost another $2.3 billion. They actually lost $3.8 billion. The money didn't grow. It simply moved from the subjects' pockets to the crown's coffers. And the next one is already drafted. A proposed ATF rule that will allow guns to be shipped straight to your front door. The government's own estimate is 3.3 million home gun deliveries a year. Don Jr. sits on the board of the online gun megastore built to cash in. He holds 300,000 shares. And that's only the fraction they've allowed us to see. Not one subpoena served, not one search executed. Why hide anything when you own the investigators? Me, they searched a laptop for 6 years. Federal prosecutors, grand juries, subpoena power, congressional hearings. They found nothing. I made about $200,000 a year selling paintings when my dad was president, and they made my paintings part of an impeachment inquiry. For 6 years, they've asked, where's Hunter? What about the laptop? Wrong questions. The right one is 250 years old. Does America belong to a family? They've given their answer. Long live the king. Oh, what Hunter did mention was Qatar giving the United States a $400 million luxury jet that then the government took that, retrofitted it with all the security and other features for a president, probably $600 million to $1 billion in upgrades. Oh, and Donald Trump signed a deal that when he leaves the White House, the plane goes to his library foundation. Y'all know, show the plane, come on. Y'all know what's gonna happen. He's gonna sit here and use that plane as his private plane. We all know that, Ome Congo. This is the grifter in chief. This is the thug in chief. He literally is the most corrupt occupant of the Oval Office in American history.
One of his children said that they want to be the richest family in the history of the world. And they are using the presidency to do that in every way, shape, or form. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump and one of his other sons said that basically they could have done a lot of this stuff in the first administration, but they were too cautious. But then they realized that nobody cared and that they were never going to get in trouble. So they are having a free for all right now as it relates to taking advantage of everything the country has to offer, whether we're talking about, like you said, the crypto, whether we're talking about the drones, whether we're talking about the military contracts. It's all being done out in the open. I mean, and we compare this to what Lumumba's done. And look at all of this. And one group that didn't get mentioned in this conversation and everything that you read was Steve Witkoff and what he's doing with his sons as well as what's happening with Trump's sons-in-laws, the other ones, not Jared, but the other ones. And so this is an open grift, and their justification when people say, well, you all went after Hunter Biden, their justification is, well, we're doing all of this in the open. We are being as transparent as possible. Number one, they're not being as transparent as possible, so they're lying about that. But they created the infrastructure that had somebody become the first trillionaire in the world history, while hundreds of thousands of people are dying across the world after USAID was gutted and shuttered down. And now they are out there. We can't forget Ivanka and the island that they're trying to have with Croatia, right? And so every single day they are doing it, and we just have to ask the question, Roland, when are enough American people going to rise up? And one of the reasons I feel enough Americans are not rising up because too many are still comfortable as long as they have somebody who's doing worse than them, as long as they got people who are quote-unquote illegals being arrested, as long as they got these DEI quote-unquote woke programs being thrown, they'll let Trump do whatever he wants as long as somebody else stays below them. And that's the other part of this American shame and grift.
What's interesting, Thelma, there were even some folks on the Fox News talking about how unseemly this is. Now, the Wall Street Journal did have this story here. Trump wants a new Air Force One in his presidential library. It's not a done deal. They said his plan faces some obstacles. But Thelma, he doesn't want this plane to be, Donald Trump is not going. You got to remember, his plane, he called Trump for Air, whatever the hell he called it, okay, is an old raggedy plane, okay, that constantly needs to be repaired. No, Donald Trump wants to use this one. Ain't no way in hell he's going to put a shiny new object that's a luxury plane inside of a building. No, he wants to use this as his personal aircraft. We all know what this thug wants to do.
You're right. Thug in charge, and that's what he's been the entire presidency that he's occupied this office, whether he got in rightfully or not. He's also was that same way before he left office. And to think about the way that he wants to maneuver and the way that he's continuing to play in Americans' faces is comical because they allowed it. They saw this happening, and for him to now be utilizing this measure to backdoor this plane, we can see that coming. Like we saw that coming with their behavior from the minute they implemented and integrated Project 2025. This was already set in stone. We are just now being forced to go through the process with them. And he understands with that old plane, he got too many skeletons on that old plane. That old plane is attached to too many young bodies that now he wants to utilize a new plane in order to continue to perpetuate behaviors that are criminal in nature. And I would say this, playing devil's advocate, Joe Biden could have also utilized the right resources in order to make sure that his son was being properly treated throughout this process, because it wasn't. And you want to say, I want to keep my hands off, but there's a way that you utilize your office in the right way to make sure justice is being handed down accordingly. And I also blame Joe Biden for knowing that he was not fit to continue to try to run for office anyway. That gave us a delay in making sure that we had the right candidate that could ultimately diffuse this individual coming into office. So when we're looking at the whole lens of the whole breakdown of what Hunter Biden put, you got to add your daddy, because if your daddy would have put things in place and he wouldn't have been holding on to a position that he knew that he was not fit to serve, some of these things could have been prevented. Would it have all been prevented? No. But we're here now. We can't complain because we are stuck until people get the understanding that we got to vote this person out. We got to vote like our lives depend on it.
The reality is we are looking at somebody who is trying to rape and pillage the federal government, Jolanda. And the real culprits of all this is the extreme court. When they ruled that, frankly, that anything a president does is legal, that they cannot be prosecuted, Donald Trump was like, we about to clean up. We know they were straight thieving the first time. Now, they don't even give a damn. They are literally stealing stuff off the walls while folk are looking and filming. They don't care. They don't care at all.
Well, Roland, why should they care? First of all, you say they're trying to do it. I would respectfully submit to you they are.
No, I didn't say they're trying. They are doing it. They are sitting here just like, yo, we going to snatch everything we can. And I estimated this. So this is the Wall Street Journal article. They said crypto bets and real estate deals inside Trump's $2 billion a year. I absolutely believe by the time this thug walks out of the Oval Office, he will have personally guaranteed himself $10 to $15 billion.
Not a doubt in my mind, Roland, but here's the deal. Once Trump got elected and once he controlled the Supremes, whatever he wanted to do, he could do. And, I struggle, right? Because the only way to stop this is to not for him to have ever gotten in the office. And the only way to stop it in the future is to vote like we've never voted before in the midterms and get rid of the people that enable him, because he can't do it if he doesn't have a Congress that passes his stuff and if he doesn't have a Senate that passes his stuff. So he can't do it alone. So we've got to get rid of them. Except for I don't want to place all of the blame on the people that aren't going out to vote, because people right now are in a triage life right now. Things are really bad. They can't find jobs. So the thing that they're worried about most is not always politics. And so should they be worried about politics? Absolutely, Roland. But if you can't pay your bills and you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay for daycare or how you're going to pay for food or how you're going to get gas money, you're not worried about other things because
but my whole deal, though, is, I'm not going to play devil's advocate. I'm just going to cut right to it. Damn it, they should. Because the reality is the United States economy coming out of COVID, 2020 and 21, had the top economic recovery of any industrialized nation in the country. The country was on a upward trajectory when Biden-Harris was there. That would have continued. The reality is Trump comes in, stalls all that. The folks who did vote have to accept the responsibility because they bought into his bullshit. And now you have even more of them every day like, oh, my God, I shouldn't have done it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. And then the people who were trashing Harris were stupid because, oh, the idiots who said, well, she's the same as Donald Trump, and then those who stayed at home. So the reason folk had better pay attention, because if they don't like what's happening right now economically, they could have done something about it, but they didn't.
I understand that, Roland, but you know something? Before I got elected and understood what was going on in politics, I didn't understand how to connect the dots. That's just real. And so what we're going to have to do in 2026 is to actually spend money to explain to people how the dots are connected. Because you think people that are struggling to pay their bills and just stay alive understand the connectivity of politics? They don't. So I'm not saying that all the things you just said are not true. They absolutely are. But we have got to let them know how to connect those dots, because if we do not wipe out the Republicans, figuratively speaking, in the midterms of 2026, Trump will continue with his thievery. And then when 2028 rolls around, we better make sure that we have built the infrastructure, which is a whole nother conversation for another day, in the Black community, so that in 2028, we're able to get somebody in the White House who is not a Republican, who is not going to destroy us, so that we can try to put this country back on track to where at least people have a chance to achieve, prosperity and be able to pay for basic things, living wage and all of those types of things. So I'm going to say that again. The second Trump won, Trump didn't give a damn whether the Supremes were going to do stuff in his favor. He was going to try it anyway. He was going to have a whole bunch of people around the country file lawsuits so that they would get up to the Supremes, because he had a majority on the Supremes before he got there. And that's what's going to happen in the future if we don't understand this. But I'm going to say this for a third time. We better connect the dots. For
I agree.
So that they can understand the necessity and the danger of what it is going forward. And I'm going to say this: the Democratic Party better invest in Black infrastructure.
So here's the
period, point blank, full stop.
I've been saying on this show, for a very long time, it is about connecting the dots. But what I am saying is, for people, because I encounter people who say, you know what, that stuff doesn't impact me whatsoever. And I'm like, no, it does. It impacts you every single day, and you better recognize it. Now let's talk about this here, y'all. So normally in Washington, D.C., 4th of July, there is a massive fireworks show. I mean, massive. And it's always quite spectacular, and it is done quite well. In fact, just show y'all something. This was 4 years ago. And this was the fireworks display that took place in Washington, D.C. It's nearly 20 minutes. I mean, it is just unbelievable. And anybody in the nation's capital, they normally understand it. And this is right here. You look at this right here. This is the fireworks display. Some 13 minutes in, and you see. I mean, it is just more and more and more. Well, the narcissist in chief decided that he wanted the absolute greatest, most unbelievable, fantastical, the biggest, the boldest, the baddest fireworks display ever. I mean, he said, no, we want it to be just insane. Let's just blow it out of the water. And so they ordered up, a massive amount of fireworks. And it was just, stuff was just exploding and going off. And, they had massive storms that came through D.C. and things were certainly rough. But then Trump, they want to cancel his whole speech. He's like, no, I'm still speaking. So it went on 11 o'clock at night. And so look at this. Now, y'all want to see a mess? Look at this mess right here. Okay. look at that mess. Okay, now you might ask, okay, I don't understand what happened. Well, here's why. The dumbass ordered so many fireworks that they actually overwhelmed it all. Again, this is how stupid he is. This is how it looked. Else, come on. All you seeing is smoke. What the? This is what I see. Folks report, Thelma. And matter of fact, this one here, this is what happened also during the fireworks display. That also happened right there. He always talked about Sleepy Joe. Yeah, we see that one right there. Thelma, the thing right here, let the experts do what they do. When you anybody who understands fireworks, it's all about timing. It's all about certain explosions, air. Do you know what happened? It was so bad. On July 4th, Washington, D.C. had the worst air quality of any city in the world on that night because of this dumbass's firework display.
Jesus. I can't. I have no words. I have no words. I have no understanding. I don't know what universe we are on where this is normal. This is not normal. Like, even an elementary student knows and how could do this better than him. It's like, what is going on? What is happening? Like, it's almost to the fact that he's going to overwhelm the actual ecosystem, and now we probably have some long-standing damage because of what just happened. It's very simple. The instructions are very simple. They could have went on ChatGPT and got the instructions. Of course, they
do this every year. They do this. They know what they're doing, but no, Mr. I want to be the biggest, the boldest. I want to be the largest. Just use all of it, Ome Congo. Dumbass. This is what it ends up looking like. It looks like shit. You can't see anything.
You can't see nothing. Oh, God.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, look, this is my first time actually seeing the video of the display. I heard about it, and a lot of people were like, they were staying as far away from DC as possible. And the way that this put this whole cloud across DC, I really find myself, concerned for folks who are in the poorer parts of DC, the Southeast, parts of Northeast and the like, because this really blanketed the city in a way that was destructive. But this is what Trump does. We got the pool with the algae, hired a company called Green Water to literally make green water come out of the reflection pool with all of the algae and the like. You got the claw down there on front of the White House. And now you got a whole smoke dome for the whole city. Like you said, the worst air quality in the entire world on the night of July 4th on our 250th anniversary. And we've all traveled. We've all been in places where the air quality was terrible, and it was worse than the worst we've experienced. And thank Trump for that. And I wonder who got the kickbacks, who, what favorite company of his got this on the backside. He is polluting DC. He's destroying DC. He's vandalizing DC, and he's ultimately jeopardizing our health quality with stunts like this. And it's disgusting.
I mean, he is okay. So this is give me 1 second. So this is a Washington Post story here, Jolanda. It said the amount of fine particulate matter reached levels seen during past Independence Day celebrations, but stayed high through Sunday morning, according to the EPA. Air quality in Washington, D.C. remained at unhealthy levels for more than 10 hours after the 40-minute fireworks show over the National Mall, according to data from Air Now, a website maintained by the Environmental Protection Agency, reporting air quality measurements from physical sensors. Now, they said that, okay, these things happen, but they stayed high through Sunday morning compared to more rapid drops in previous years. And it said PM 2.5 refers to particles so small that when breathed in, they enter the bloodstream and lungs. This is what happens when you're so stupid. You're just like, just blow it all up. So he doesn't care. He doesn't give a damn about the people in D.C. and breathing the air. No, he wanted his ego stroked with this big. So I had the biggest ever. Yeah, okay, way to go.
I mean, Roland. So why? First of all, I'm shocked that people are shocked that Trump does the dumb shit that he does. I mean, he's shown us before he got reelected in 2024 that he is an idiot. He is like white supremacy at its worst. He has the biggest Napoleonic syndrome that I've ever seen in my life. He is a little man, notwithstanding the fact that he's obese, but I know what's little on him just because of how he works, because people like that always want to pee on the fire hydrants the most. That is exactly who he is. And so why would he care about D.C. anyway? It's full of black people. We've heard what he said. We know how he treats D.C. Do you think that Donald Trump cares at all about the air quality for black people in D.C.? He does not.
He don't care about the air quality. He don't care about the air quality. He don't care about the air quality when he passing gas in the Oval Office.
He sure doesn't, but everybody else is dying. We know that.
Or when he's sitting there soiling the diaper that he wears.
Exactly, and he stank and is rank. But my point is this. We need to, we got to put up with him for the next 2 years, and then we need to get Republicans out of there. But again, why are we surprised that Donald Trump only worries about
just
making people believe him to be the best? I mean, Obama still never been free in his mind. In
fact, if you want to know, again, we know for a fact that this is truly one of the most despicable human beings ever. He has no regard for anything, but he really is a despicable individual. I don't know if y'all saw this, but he's always being racist. And so he decided to post this on Truth Social, a photo of the Obamas waving with "Yes We Can," BLM Obama, and some writing in Arabic. Ome Congo, this is what racists do.
Exactly. And when people are talking about why has Trump not condemned those, white nationalists who were on the mall, who are down in Union Station, or riding the train surrounding that black girl, and people haven't heard anything from the White House. But what people are not saying on these shows that I'm watching is because he is them. He is the racist. He is the racist in chief. And he's going to put up racist imagery like that, graffiti on a plane. I mean, seriously, as well as with the Arabic, he is giving everybody who has any type of racist sentiment all of the red meat that they want. And the fact that people are calling this out for what it is, they'll say things like bizarre or crazy or a late night text rant. Call it what it is. Like you said, this is racist. This is Islamophobic. This is the guy who can't say Barack Obama without throwing Hussein in the middle to try to drum up some type of Islamophobic hate towards him. And he is not going to stop doing this. Same guy who posted them as monkeys as well. He is not going to stop doing this, but it doesn't mean that people have to continue to cower to him and not call it out. People talk about, oh, we got a young Nazi problem with MAGA and all of that. No, it starts from the top and works its way down. They have found their home with this individual. These guys have wanted to build forever their white supremacist structure. All they needed was someone to unify them, and he is that guy. That image is racist, period, bottom line. And this is the first show that I've watched today, or I've been on, that actually called it that. And that is part of the problem, the inability to continually call this out for what it is.
So when the storms hit D.C. on Saturday, did y'all see the video of all of these white folks retreating to the National Smithsonian Museum of National American History and Culture. Come on, roll the video. Here they are. They're trying to escape the storms. So they escape into that hollow ground. And they should have taken the time to actually go look at some of the damn exhibits because they would have seen about their support of this racist individual. Well, the Trump White House the next day put out this report, a 160-plus page report called Saving America's History, How Ideological Capture at the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of American History Erases Our Heritage. And what they did in this report is just go through this whole thing, laying out how, oh my goodness, how these folks are just wrong. They sit here and they trashed the Smithsonian, calling the leaders having extreme activism. And in this here, give me one second. The report argues that the museum leaders have moved the institution away from historical scholarship and toward social justice advocacy, saying the museum now presents American history largely through themes of racism, oppression, and inequality. See, what Trump wants is he wants truly whitewashed history. What he wants is, no, white folks are just great. They were just wonderful, and all of that. In fact, this is what it concludes in the report. We must be committed to restoring truth and sanity in how American history is presented and taught. President Trump's executive order of March 2025 notes that the Smithsonian's effort to rewrite history deepens societal divides and fosters a sense of national shame, disregarding the progress America has made and the ideals that continue to inspire millions around the globe. As a result, to restore the truth of America's story as it regards the Smithsonian Institution, Executive Order 14253 directs the Vice President as Regent of the Smithsonian to work with the Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy, quote, to remove improper ideology from such properties and shall recommend to the President any additional actions necessary to fully effectuate such policies, and with the Director of the Office of Management and Budget to, quote, prohibit expenditure on exhibits or programs that degrade shared American values, divide Americans based on race, or promote programs or ideologies inconsistent with federal law and policy. Let's be real clear. Let's be real clear, Omekongo. Lonnie Bunch is in trouble as a leader of the Smithsonian. They want to wipe the leadership out. They are going to strip these museums of the real history of this country. And what they want to continue is the white version, the white racist version of American history that completely strips away the heinous things that they actually did.
Yeah, I mean, Trump 1.0 visited the museum. Lonnie Bunch, the African American Museum. Lonnie Bunch showed him around and the like. But now this is Trump 2.0, completely unhinged with all his racism. Of course, he had the racism in Trump 1.0, but now he's unhinged. And yes, he's absolutely coming for him. This is a man who feels like after the slaughter case of the Supreme Court that he can get rid of anybody in the executive branch or who he wants and anybody else anywhere. And why not take an advantage to turn the Smithsonian into the white story that you want to be told about America? If you went that way, I didn't go, but we saw the stories, at the great, quote unquote, Great American State Fair, like some of these tents that represented certain states, like North Carolina, like they had Confederate flags in there. You had these guys, again, who I talked about, the white nationalists walking around with Confederate flags. So if you go into the Smithsonian and you see all the beautiful infrastructure there and you see all of the museums and you say, I have an opportunity to really tell the story of America the way I want it to be told, to celebrate white nationalism, you're going to take every advantage and opportunity to do that. And you're going to target the people who have made the Smithsonian as popular as it's been. The Lonnie Bunch, with his success at the museum, the African American History Museum, made the entire Smithsonian, once he became in charge of it, extremely more popular than it was before. But Trump can't have that. And so Trump has to seize this narrative, and he's going to use J.D. Vance to do that. And yes, Lonnie Bunch and everybody who was part of his organization, they need to be on notice right now because they're coming for them next.
Yolanda?
I'm extremely bothered. And I'm going to say this. How you going to scream, erase Black history, and then hide inside Black history? But that's another story for another day. We know that Donald Trump is going to try to erase everything that is Black, which people say racism. I say anti-Blackism, because that's what it is. I believe that we need to call a thing a thing. And unless and until he leaves office, then we're going to have these problems, because the Supreme Court is stacked against us. And so what we need, we can't fight right now, right? Because Trump has the power in the courts, because somebody's going to sue. We need to be preparing, Roland, for the midterms and the 2028 election, because only then can we do something about it. So the question is going to be, what are the Democrats going to do to connect the dots, as we talked about before? And we cannot expect for Trump, who wishes he were Barack Hussein Obama, because Barack Hussein Obama is living rent-free inside of President Trump's head. We can't be distracted by that. He's going to do that. We need to be focused on what we need to do to get us out to vote like we've never voted before in the midterms, and like we've never voted before in 2028. And the Democratic Party is a huge part of that, and they better spend money on infrastructure to get us out, and I mean Black infrastructure. Otherwise, this country is going to go to hell faster in a handbasket if we don't do it now.
When we look at what these people are doing, Thelma, again, this is absolutely what was laid out in Project 2025. They want a white view, a white Christian view of this country. That's what they want. A white, right-wing, radical Christian view of America. And they just hate facts. They just hate them.
Not only do they just hate him, but we know that this president is equally obsessed with the thought of taking down anything that may have an inkling of the Obamas attached to it. And to me, when I saw the individuals that are very mediocre in their entire existence running for cover in the African American Museum, that is what they've done their entire life. They have run to African Americans to cover for their lack thereof. When they wake up in the morning, they know that they're not better. They know that they are reducing the actual value of this country and how they actually think, they act, they morph. It actually drives down the value of our country with what this administration is doing. That's why we are the laughing stock of the country. So when people come to me and say, oh, what can we do? They're upset. I'm like, well, we can't do anything right now but prepare and utilize our real estate for what's coming, what the future looks like, so that we can prevent this from happening in the future. One thing that people understand about this country doesn't have its flavor without African Americans. This country does not have its inventions without African Americans. This country does not operate or move in the way that it moves without African Americans. And he cannot wrap his head around that, because he is no greater than who he actually believes himself to be. He's actually worse in his own mind. And he wakes up every morning trying to compensate for his lack thereof. And his compensation is trying to tear down everything African Americans built on their backs, because he would never be. That's why he's doing it now, because he has access and power. But we have to focus on what the midterms are going to look like and what 2028 is going to look like, because that's where our real estate is.
Going to a quick break. We come back. A white pastor makes it plain when it comes to white Christian nationalism. You do not want to miss that next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
My name is Lena Charles, and I'm from Opelousas, Louisiana. Yes, that is Zydeco capital of the world.
My name is Margaret Chappelle. I'm from Dallas, Texas, representing the Urban Trivia Game.
It's me, Sherry Shepard, and you know what you watch.
Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Louisiana Supreme Court justices have paused legal proceedings against the state's Republican Attorney General Liz Murrill, saying she raised what they call a compelling argument. The decision comes after a New Orleans grand jury indicted Murrill on 16 counts, including intimidation and malfeasance. Prosecutors accuse her of trying to intimidate New Orleans officials who opposed a Republican-backed law restructuring the city's court system. Murrill has called the charges retaliatory, meritless, and unconstitutional. Meanwhile, Republican Governor Jeff Landry has pledged to pardon Murrill, saying he would not let her reputation be damaged by what he called a kangaroo court. Well, then again, when you run a kangaroo legislature, you're an expert on kangaroos. Folks, in the occupant of the Oval Office's 4th of July speech, Donald Trump claimed the Declaration of Independence says we are all made in the image of one Almighty God. No, it doesn't. Clearly, the dumbass has never read it. Like, literally, it doesn't even say that. A white North Carolina pastor, Lauren Livingston, made it clear during a sermon on Sunday that America needs to stop calling itself a Christian nation because he says that's not what America is.
There is no such thing as a liberal Christian. The second thing is there's no such thing as a conservative Christian. A Christian is a Christian. Here we go. Just hang on a minute. I have said many times from this side and from right here, there is no such thing as a black church or white evangelical church or Hispanic church. You cannot put an adjective in front of church or Christian. A Christian believes one thing: in the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose son is Jesus, who came to this world born of a virgin and lived a holy, spotless life, and allowed wicked men to nail him to a tree, and he bled to death, and he paid for the sins of the whole world, and he was buried, and on the third day he got up out of the tomb and he walked out, and after that he made a church and he went to heaven, and he's been interceding ever since, and he's been blessing and filling with the Spirit, and one day he's coming back to meet us in the clouds of glory, and when he does, we're all going to rise up. Hallelujah to God. We're going to see him for ourselves and nobody else. Hallelujah. Liberal and conservative is only in man-made government and man-made religion. A true Christian walks according to Scripture, loves the Bible. It's not your interpretation of the Scripture. It's not what they teach at Duke Divinity School or Rhema Bible College. They're both crazy. There has never been a Christian nation. You don't live in one now. We had godly people get on boats and come over here so they could worship. Godly people. We've had the greatest Bible preachers in the 15, 16, 1700s. Godly people. Some of the people that constructed this country, godly people. But it has never been a Christian nation and never will be. Listen, there never will be a Christian nation because after all this is over, there will be a kingdom. The kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ. And in that kingdom, the church will rule and reign with Christ, not only as his body, but as his bride. For a nation to be Christian, it would have to honor and serve and glorify and obey everything that the Bible teaches. So I just want to say, just because we have scriptures on our monuments and our buildings, and just because we acknowledge our Creator in our creeds and Constitution, does not make this a Christian country. A Christian is one that's born from above and abides in Christ. A Christian nation would be a nation full of people who are born from above and abide in Christ. We're not a Christian nation. You see, a Christian nation would not have killed and displaced 20 million Native Americans who are still marginalized and suffering greatly. A Christian nation would never have thought that owning slaves was somehow pleasing to God and okay to do, or that it lined up with Scripture. Not only did we practice it, but it was so important to us that we split a nation, had a civil war, fought against each other, and 500,000 Americans died because some people wanted to own as property other people. More people, more Americans died in the Civil War than any other war we've ever fought in the history of this country, including World War II.
Livingston, of course, is a pastor of a church in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that sermon certainly got people talking on social media. Central Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, got them going. And of course, we know these right-wing folk, they don't want to hear that. Jelana, he's the same pastor who called out folk buying that Trump Bible that he did with Lee Greenwood that had the Bible and the U.S. Constitution. And he said, I'm sorry, those two, he said, you should never have a Bible that has a U.S. Constitution in it. Now, Jelana, you doing all that talking and your ass on mute.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah, we know.
I agree.
At least you ain't got that fuzzy ass damn microphone this week.
I learned my lesson. All you got to do is tell me once, sir. In any case, I'm going to need you to find something else to talk about, but I digress.
I'm just glad you hit that button, but go ahead.
I agree with everything that you just showed us that he said. But I just want to make sure, as the first Black openly LGBTQ plus person in the Texas legislature, that his whole sermon was not on point. But the part about us, that this country shouldn't have been founded on slavery, that people shouldn't have been like enslaving people, that the Civil War killed more people than anybody, that's absolutely true. And that Christian nationalism is not Christianity, that's true as well. So I'm glad we got it from somebody who doesn't look like us, because the people that are buying into this Christian nationalism look just like him. So maybe he's the person who needs to tell them that. But we cannot rely on him to solve the ills that are happening to Black people because of Christian nationalism. We can just use him as an ally, and I'll leave it at that because there are other things that he said that I absolutely do not agree with.
Well, we didn't play everything that he said. That's the whole point.
I know.
We specifically played that clip for that reason, and so and the reality is, and so anyone could say that, oh well, if I listen to this guy, I think he likely is a conservative or Republican. Doesn't matter to me, Ome Congo. This is what these white preachers should be saying, talking to their white congregations so they can understand that they're being bamboozled by a whole bunch of fools. These fake-ass evangelicals. Ralph Reed, a couple of weeks ago, had his Faith and Freedom Conference here in D.C. It was nothing on the agenda about real faith, wasn't no discussion about poor people. It was a right-wing political conference. Ome Congo, can all of y'all please turn y'all microphones on? All y'all. Thelma, I ain't gone to you yet. Turn yours on right now.
I was just trying to have, this little unity with Jolanda there. That's all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. No, you forgot to hit the damn button.
Well, it's one of the reasons I have a lot of respect for Reverend Barber, because in a lot of his interviews, he's always talking about the fact that he's an evangelical and that he's not ceding this idea of being evangelical to these guys, because they're not. And they're using Christianity as some type of form of nationalism. And it's extremely important that people who are, of the faith, who are leaders, who are pastors, who are, preachers, reverends, all of that type, that they call this out. Because they have given Christianity over to these white racist nationalists who have been using Christianity in the same way they use other terminology like patriot and so on and so forth to wrap themselves in the American flag, and they've gotten away with it. And they've used Trump as their avatar, even though he's the least Christian person in the history of the world, definitely in the history of the United States, because he was their avatar to the Supreme Court, to ending Roe v. Wade, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's extremely important. And one of the things I appreciate in looking at his church, his congregation, it was diverse. I saw white folks, black folks in there. It's extremely important that people use the pulpit to call this out. And so many churches have been afraid to speak out, but these white evangelicals ain't afraid to get political about their quote unquote Christianity, their fake Christianity. And so people who really feel like they represent the word in a particular way and represent what's in that Bible, they absolutely need to speak up, because it's been absolutely weaponized by Trump, MAGA, Heritage Foundation, and these folks on the Supreme Court as well. We need more of this.
Thelma?
I agree with the sentiment of everyone on the panel when we're talking about utilizing church, because we know churches is where you go to get fueled with or refueled with the word. So when I'm seeing a lot of churches not using that opportunity to actually clear up the lies, because that's essentially what's going on when we are talking about utilizing your pulpit not to clear up the lies that are being told, because what that essentially is doing is satisfying the palate of individuals that want these things that are happening in this country to continue to happen. They want to believe that they can use their faith in order to harm this country. So when I see a pastor that is literally utilizing his pulpit to correct the misstatements of individuals using the Bible, and they don't even know how to use it right. You cannot sit down with these individuals and have a real conversation with them about the word, because they use the word to weaponize. They don't use the word to actually teach and live by what the word of God is. So I appreciate when I see pastors that don't look like me utilizing their ability to reach their congregation to correct, because if we don't start correcting and we don't utilize the pulpits, even with African Americans, you don't utilize your pulpit to reach, then you are doing a disservice to the betterment of this country and the betterment of what the word of God says.
Well, you can always count on these right-wingers and their absolute racism, including serial plagiarist Benny Johnson. Now, this is a right-winger who Donald Trump has fully embraced. So he decided to attack Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett on his podcast, The Benny Show. It all started when Crockett spoke about the contributions of black women in American history ahead of the 4th of July celebrations over the weekend. This took place, of course, at the Essence Festival in New Orleans. She called on people to celebrate black women for their many sacrifices. Well, that didn't sit too well with poor little Benny, who was just beside himself.
Jasmine Crockett says America owes black women everything. Everything.
Whether it's an invention that she made, this 4th of July, I say celebrate a black woman that you know. Because whether it's an invention that she made, or whether it's the very democracy that still hangs by a thread right now, there is a black woman to thank for her contributions.
Really? Oh, interesting. What inventions? Go. So, like, I need to get back. I need to get back like in these little reporter lines. Okay, quick, Jasmine Crockett, right now. Name of invention from black woman. Go. You want to watch a head explode on name an invention from go. Name. I want a name. Okay, I need a name of a single black woman that had something to do with America's founding. Go. I mean, I can think of didn't Thomas Jefferson have like half his family with out of wedlock with the slaves? I think isn't that historic? Anyway, that's like as close as I can get. That's as close as I can get. I don't know, right? Okay, Jasmine Crockett's the one who's making these absurd arguments. So why don't you back them up? Like if you're telling us to thank black women for inventions, then and for America's founding, name them. Why don't you go first? You name the black women. Go. I wish I was at, I don't know what she's at. It looks like some type of conference, right? Please, I need to go work these lines again just so that I can ask the follow-up question. American history based on Jasmine Crockett. There you go. Go. Name one.
Well, we can certainly name who got paid by Russia to advance their agenda, right, Benny? Now, Congresswoman Crockett, speaking in essence, this is what she said.
When it comes to answering the question of what America owes black women, the answer is everything. When we think about the sacrifices that black women have made from the moment that we were stolen from our homelands and transported into this country, to the fact that black women continue to stand as the backbone specifically of the Democratic Party, we know that black women are always the ones that are doing the labor, but we are also the ones that are always the first targets of any harm. So this 4th of July, I say celebrate a black woman that you know, because whether it's an invention that she made or whether it's the very democracy that still hangs by a thread right now, there is a black woman to thank for her contributions.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when it comes to the racists in this administration, they're very quick to actually remove things that black women did, such as Pete Hegseth. Another action taken by these idiots, and again, they are very good at this. The U.S. Army, they had this page that commemorated this sister, Sarah Keys Evans. Folks at Mother Jones actually wrote this story, and so this is what they said back in March. The piece is written by Chastity Hale. Back in March, I wrote about the late Sarah Keys Evans, a black veteran who played a key role in desegregating interstate travel. Before the summer of 1952, the 23-year-old private first class had never ever taken part in a civil rights protest. But after she was arrested in jail overnight in her Women's Army Corps uniform for refusing to give up her bus seat to a white Marine, Keys Evans spent years fighting for justice through the courts, paving the way for Rosa Parks and the Freedom Riders. And so she talks about writing about them. It says in 2020, nearly 70 years after Evans' arrest, Roanoke Rapids installed a series of murals about the veterans' fight for justice. But guess what? She says, well, weeks after that first piece ran, I received the tip and the Army had removed an article about Keys Evans from its official website. Based on screenshots captured by the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine, the article by T. Anthony Bell, first published in February 2014, was taken down last July at the height of the second Trump administration's campaigns to scrub black history from public monuments, institutions, and records. It remains unavailable. It's no shock. This is what they've been doing repeatedly, Thelma. They have been removing black folks, women, Donald Trump. This Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, and I keep telling you people, keep telling everybody, this war on black America, what this is about is they want white is right. They want white men to be the heroes of everything in this country.
They want white pedophiles to be the heroes of this country, but that would never happen on the backs of black women. And see, the thing about mediocre white men that don't get under my skin is because you sat there and you were behind a mic instead of in her face asking a question that you knew she couldn't respond to. That's what mediocre white men do, because they know if they get in the face of a black woman, we gonna tear them down thread by thread, shred by shred, organ by organ, and they can't take that. Because when he talk about black women and the substance and the quality that we add to this country, we have been everything to this country. We have been the ones that's raising the babies, the ones that you all are utilizing for us to have your babies. We have been everything to this country from inventions. I'm an inventor. So when she says things like that, that's a fact. When he says it's not a fact, it's an emotion, because they want to be important when they have reduced themselves based off of the existence of their hate. And for the life of me, they were never changed. We ain't worried about them changing. What we are worried about is continuing the legacy and the lineage that we have been blessed to have under unfortunate circumstances. And we're going to continue to overcome in spite of mediocre white men using a mic in order for them to ask a question that they would never get a response to, because they don't qualify to sit in rooms or at tables with us. So that's why he would never be able to have a conversation with black women, because he doesn't qualify.
See, folks like Benny Johnson, Matt Walsh, they're the same, Jolanda, where they just, again, they think white is everything. I mean, clearly Benny Johnson has no understanding of black people. He doesn't know that Sarah Boone improved the ironing board in 1892, designing a narrow curved board that made pressing sleeves and fitted garments easier and more efficient. Sarah Good invented the folding cabinet bed in 1885, a space-saving piece of furniture that doubled as a desk, helping small apartments maximize space. Or Ellen Eglin created the handcrafted clothes wringer in 1888, which improved laundry efficiency before modern washing machines. How about Mary Beatrice Davidson Kenner developed the sanitary belt in 1956, a precursor to modern menstrual products, improving comfort and hygiene for women. Oh, Lyda D. Newman patented a hairbrush with synthetic bristles in 1898, making grooming easier and more hygienic. I mean, there's Marie Van Britten Brown inventing the first home security system in 1966, featuring a camera, peepholes, two-way communication, and a remote control lock, laying the foundation for modern CCTV systems. There's Miriam Benjamin, created the gong and signal chair in 1888, allowing seated individuals to discreetly signal attendants, an early precursor to call buttons in public spaces. Oh, Patricia, you have, of course, Patricia Bath invented the laser phaco probe in 1981, a laser device for cataract surgery that restored sight more precisely and safety. And there's Bessie Blount Griffin, developed a feeding device for injured or disabled patients, enabling greater independence for amputees and those with disabilities. Or Anna Marie Bailey, creating a device for more accurate blood pressure readings, improving hypertension diagnosis. Or Marilyn Hughes Gaston pioneered newborn screening for sickle cell disease, helping prevent complications in affected infants. We can go on and on and on. Marion Croak contributed to the development of voice over internet protocol, enabling internet-based calls and video conferencing platforms like Zoom and Google Meet. So Benny, the black woman, Yep, a technology that allows you to do your show. Valerie Thomas invented the illusion transmitter in 1980, producing three-dimensional images using mirrors, influencing 3D imaging and virtual reality technology. Or Dr. Gladys West, who developed mathematical models of the Earth that became the foundation for GPS technology. I'm sure, Benny, you use Waze or Google Maps. Dr. Shirley Jackson contributed to innovations in telecommunications, including touch-tone dialing, call waiting, and theoretical foundations for caller ID. That was Marjorie Stewart Joyner, patented the permanent wave machine in 1928, revolutionizing hairstyling and salon efficiency. Or Theora Stevens, who improved the curling iron, making it more accessible for black women's hairstyling needs. Or there's Christina Jenkins, who developed the sew-and weave technique in the 1950s, laying the foundation for modern hair extensions. We know Madam C.J. Walker, who created hair care products for African-American women, becoming the first black female millionaire in the country. We can go on and on and on, Benny. But, Yolanda, they don't care because for them, white is the only thing that matters.
So, yes, Roland, I absolutely agree with you. So I was going to talk about Miriam Croak, but you did, because that's the only reason that Benny gets to even do his show, because of her. But, I mean, I can go back, Roland. We can give thousands of black women who invented. But let's talk about the black women that put their literal breasts into white kids as we raised them, because we knew their mamas couldn't do it. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about hidden figures, Katherine Johnson and others who got us on the moon. White men took credit for it, but if it weren't for their meticulous brains that understood math better than computers, we wouldn't have landed on the moon. We could go on and on and on and on and on. But the best way to shut these mediocre white people up is to get them out of office and get their leader, Trump, get rid of him, get rid of the Republicans. And I'm going to keep saying this on your show. We want for them to change. Trump is literally given carte blanche to white folks who are racist to actually do in the public what they used to only think about. So they can talk about us. They can lie on us. They can say we didn't invent anything. We know what the truth is. We can't worry about that. We're not going to change those idiots' minds. It doesn't matter how much truth we give them. Again, just like they planned 2025 for 50 years, we need to start planning right here, right now, what we're going to do in November to get us out to vote, and in 2028, so we can try to get back to some sort of America where at least we have a chance, and we're back to trying to get the gains that black people have earned, and that this country has actually benefited from.
On the Congo.
This country was built on the womb of the black woman. So we can have all of the necessary conversations about inventions and all of the names that you spent, that you shared, but the country itself was built off the womb of a black woman. And so my concern is with Benny, is his ignorance. My bigger concern is with all of the kids right now in schools across the country that are not getting this history. All of us here, we didn't get this in our schools. We got this from parents, family members, Sunday school programs and black churches. And they're like, so we already didn't get enough. And now we have a whole generation of people of all racial backgrounds that, because of the actions of this administration, have no chance of getting histories like what we just shared in like 5-7 minutes. And so they are arrogant with this. They are arrogant in their ignorance, and we have to make sure that we're using programs like this. Y'all who are watching tonight, y'all got to share this segment so people can see the 12 or 20, I don't know how many black women inventors that Roland ran down the list of. Share people so we can start getting into the algorithms to make sure that we're showing the truth to go against this ignorance that Benny has put out and that the whole Trump administration is putting out.
Quick break. When we come back, we'll remember a business legend. And y'all, of course, many of you remember the hair care products that he created. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, They'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Hey, I'm Tasha Cobbs, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. But I need a little filter. I need something. Blow me out. Make me look 35.
Folks, sad news out of Chicago. George Johnson, who in 1954 launched a hair care company with his late wife Joan with $250, has passed away. He was 99 years old. A native of Mississippi. They launched Johnson Products Company, and you might remember Ultra Sheen, Afro Sheen. They were the first sponsor of Soul Train, the first black company, first black business to be listed and traded on the American Stock Exchange. Truly a visionary leader who did amazing things, him and his wife, and the family heritage still continues. And when people talk about Chicago, they talk about, of course, George Johnson, they talk about Johnny Johnson, they talk about all of those African Americans coming out of that city who did amazing things. Those folks who, of course, who grew up in the 70s and 80s remember the commercials. They remember the products that were also the spots in when you were looking at Jet Magazine and Ebony and seeing those products. But not only that, how black were they? Their commercials were black. Watch.
Yeah, we studied about you in school yesterday, about how you were a slave and how you took your own freedom, and then began to fight for freedom and dignity for all our people. Say, but what did I forget?
Are you going to go out into the world with your hair looking like that?
Well, Mr. Douglas, you know, times have changed. We wear the natural now.
You call that a natural? That's a mess. I've been watching the progress of our people, and I'm quite familiar with the natural. And I'm also aware that it is worn as an outward expression of pride and dignity. So haven't you forgotten?
Right. My Afro Sheen comb easy and hairspray for Sheen. You know, I can dig this getting my fro together.
My sentiments almost exactly.
Well, how's this, Mr. Douglas? Mr. Douglas? Man, ain't nobody gonna believe this.
That was one of the spots that ran on Soul Train. They were extremely popular. And again, he was a major figure demanding equity in the beauty business. And was sorely missed. I mean, this is Jolanda Warner. We talk about pioneers, the folks who paved the way. When you think about Johnson Products, we think about Coma Cottrell with Proline, later moving that company to Dallas, creator of the Jerry Curl. What's so hard to imagine is that, for instance, you take Ultra Sheen. Many people know that you can barely find that these days. When you think about now how the hair care industry for black folks is being dominated by folks who don't look like us, although we still spend billions every single year.
Well, yeah, and look, I'll be the first one to say I've got relaxers on my hair like Ultra Sheen. For a quick second, when I was in 8th grade, I did wear a Jerry curl. I don't do it anymore. So yes, but I mean, one of the problems I even have now when trying to find products for my black hair is finding products that work on black hair. So everything is for white people. So I appreciate, well, not everything, but many things. So I appreciate black people who actually develop and invent, since we were just talking about inventors, products that work with our hair texture because it's important, and our skin color with makeup because it's important. Because there's a person who was on Survivor during the finale. They had a white person doing my makeup with white makeup, and I looked a hot mess on the finale. So it really is important that we have people that make these products for us and that are culturally competent for us, because otherwise we look like a damn fool.
It wasn't just Johnson Products, Congo. He also was the founder of Independence Bank, a black bank there in Chicago, because he understood it. He understood that black banks needed capital.
Yeah, I'm just an entrepreneur on so many levels, and I'm just wondering, number one, where are the commercials like that, nowadays? But we have to respect our entrepreneurs. And I mean, I can still smell, that Afro sheen just from back in the day. And these are people who represented us in the best way possible, and they found an opportunity in our communities to actually build our communities based on the products and services that we need. So whether it's the hair care products, whether it's the banks, whatever it is, we have to respect the architects who did these things. And there are black inventors out there now, and black organizations that are trying to get capital to build these their companies and the like. But when we see an architect such like of him back and his wife back in those days, we have to give extra respect. Look at that. I mean, that's just beautiful. We have to give extra respect to what they did. And so, rest in peace to him and ultra respect to his family for what they did for our community. Yep. And I mean ultra in every sense of the word.
Thelma?
I really love how his family was able to utilize what we needed in order to build a foundation for things that were more than just their products. If you recall, getting your hair done in a beauty shop or at home, that was quality time that we had based off of products that they produced, and they allowed for us to buy by them inventing and seeing a need that we had that was not going to be fulfilled by the others because they understood what we needed. So when I think about the richness, I think about the moments where I'm sitting behind a chair and I can smell the products being used in my hair, or I'm at home and my mom is greasing my scalp as we are having conversations. It wasn't just a product. It was a product that also was bonding time for whether you were in a beauty shop or whether you were at home or where you were with your girlfriend. Y'all were always talking about these products, and they understood word of mouth was one of their biggest assets. So you knew you was going to go in a beauty shop, and you knew you was going to be at home and see these products. That's what I remember by this company and Mr. Johnson, because he left more than just a product. He left an everlasting memory based off of using his products.
He also told his own story. This book is called Afro Sheen. You see the pic on the cover here, how I revolutionized an industry with the golden rule from Soul Train to Wall Street. Georgie Johnson, founder of the Johnson Products Company with Hillary Beard. Folks, Georgie Johnson was 99 years old. So certainly condolences go out to his family for an absolutely rich legacy. Let me thank my panel for joining us on today's show. Congo, Thelma, Jelana, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much, folks. That is it for us. Of course, yes, I'm rocking Fort Valley State shirt today here on the show, and so glad to represent them out of Georgia. All right, folks, that's it. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute to us, use Cash App, Stripe QR code. You see it right here. You're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. That's for credit cards as well. Of course, checks and money order, make it payable. Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get out Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag. What you do is you go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Folks, we got t-shirts and hoodies and zip-ups, wall art, mugs, all kinds of stuff. We've even got our America 250 shirts. You don't want to miss those. We're going to be showing you those tomorrow. So definitely go to the site. Plus, support the more than 50 black-owned businesses that we have on our marketplace. So if you go there, you will see all sorts of products. Everything you see in our studio right here, these are all Black-owned companies, every single one of these products. And so we want you to go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to check those products out. Download the app Fan Base and follow me at Roland S. Martin. And folks, look forward to Wednesday Tech Talk, where we're going to have Isaac Hayes III. They are announcing some new features for Fan Base, including microblogging. That's right, that will compete with Twitter and Threads. Trust me, you don't want to miss that conversation. Folks, that's it. I certainly appreciate y'all joining us. Thank you so very much. And again, shouting out Fort Valley State. Thanks so very much, folks. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.